As the pandemic wears on, several people are still having to work from home out of necessity. But I'm Zach Dodge with why some local employers are hiring people specifically for that.
Plus, Tyson Foods makes a donation to a 4-state school district's workforce program.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Hey, thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Mike Mahoney. Local employers are hiring hundreds of people to work from home. KOAM Zach Dodge explains why.
It's magical, really.
That magical feeling for Carl Junction resident Lauren Lanning is finding a job that will work for her and her family.
My husband, he works construction in California, and so with everything being shut down, construction came to a halt.
He's been without a job ever since. Lanning, she stays home with her 3 kids and has a disability that had kept her from working. That is until Monday rolls around and she won't even have to leave the house.
Being able to work from home, especially like right now, my son just got quarantined. If you work a regular job, that's not something that you can do. And then being able to be home where I can kind of control my environment for my disability is really beneficial.
She's one of the 600 employees that Alorica in Joplin is hiring with the intention of having them work entirely from home. When the pandemic hit, 80% of their employees were sent to work from home. Since then, Jeb Cook says they've noticed some pretty positive things.
Our employees are happy working from home. They're doing a great job of taking care of the customers.
For you guys, this really does make sense.
Absolutely, it makes sense. It was, like I said, something born out of necessity that was done at first, and we've just had a great time with it.
But it's not a universal sentiment. According to the latest data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 13% of employed people teleworked or worked from home in the last 4 weeks, with the pandemic complicating the transition back to the office for companies like Apple, Google, and Facebook. While some companies work to get back in the office, others like Alorica and Teleperformance are embracing it.
The dream come true, really, for jobs, and they pay really well. So that's, going to be really beneficial for my family all the way around.
In Joplin, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
Cook says work-from-home jobs have been easier to fill than traditional positions lately, and that's why 300 of the 600 jobs have already been filled. Several area health departments are reporting new COVID-19 related deaths. The Joplin Health Department reports 1 death, bringing the city's total to 165. The Jasper County Health Department reports 5 more deaths, bringing the county's total to 207. And over in Crawford County, 2 more people have died, bringing that county's total to 104. Today, Freeman's health officials talked about the upcoming flu season and how the pandemic could affect it. Last year, flu cases hit a record low, which health experts attribute to increased masking and cleaning practices. Because of the low exposure last year, the CDC worries more people could be vulnerable to the flu this season. Freeman officials recommend everyone keep wearing masks, practice regular hand washing, and get that flu vaccine.
It works on a lot of different respiratory viruses, and in particular flu and RSV. So I would really strongly encourage all of us to keep that in mind, and especially, if you are a person who has pulmonary disease, that you're an at-risk population, not just for COVID. And I would really strongly advise you to continue to follow those.
Officials say it is safe to get the COVID vaccine and the flu vaccine at the first time. All right, time for a look at your first weather, and hey, my favorite multitasker, Chris Warner, is filling in. What's up, Chris?
Well, multitasking is something that wasn't too difficult today because the weather was really nice. In fact, take a look. Here's our almanac. We made it to 87, only 2 degrees above where we should be, and for our overnight low, 59, 62 is where we should be, so we're pretty English is not my first language, it seems, but we're doing pretty good so far. Taking a look at the Skywatch storm tracker here. Let's move along. Nothing on the Skywatch storm tracker in our area. You zoom out and you can see that most of the lower 48 is clear. The cold front that gave us our storms and some rain yesterday, moving on off to the east, and really not too much going on with it over there either. Taking a look at what we're going to expect for tomorrow, because we do have some changes coming. So we're going to start the day about 59, 72 by 10, 80 by noon, 84 by 4. A nice light southwest breeze, but that's the key. The breeze is shifted from the southwest, so we're going to be a little bit warmer. In fact, warmer temperatures are on the horizon. We're going to tell you how much warmer they're going to get here coming up.
All right, sounds good. Thanks as always, Chris. Spring River Mental Health and Wellness in Riverton, Kansas is celebrating 40 years of helping people. The nonprofit Community Health Center offers several services surrounding mental health and substance abuse recovery. The company started with 9 employees and today has more than 60 employees serving nearly 1,300 Cherokee County residents.
It makes you feel good. It makes you feel like you're making a difference in people's lives, trying to break down that stigma of mental health, trying to reach as many people as you can.
They want to do everything they can for you. They're very helpful. There's a lot of things going on here to help clients.
Today's anniversary celebration was scaled down due to the pandemic, but they hope to host a larger event in the future. Joplin's Ozark Center hosted a workshop today focused on suicide awareness. The theme of the event, Be Someone's Lifeboat. At a separate location, boats were launched to honor 36 lives lost to suicide.
And so our hope is that by talking about it as a community, we lost 36 lives in 2019 to suicide in Southwest Missouri, and that's 36 too many, and any one more death is too many.
And of course, if someone you know or you yourself are struggling with thoughts of suicide, you should call the Suicide Prevention Hotline. Excuse me. That number is 1-800-273-8255. Again, that is 1-800-273-8255. Authorities capture a Pittsburgh man after a standoff. Police say late last month, William Patton who was on house arrest, removed an ankle monitor. After following up on several tips, Pittsburgh police tracked down Patton at a Pittsburgh home on East 9th. After an hours-long standoff that involved multiple police agencies, including the KBI, officers arrested Patton. Patton now faces additional charges of felony interference with law enforcement and unlawfully tampering with his electronic monitoring device. That's in addition to numerous previous charges that include aggravated kidnapping and aggravated assault. Authorities drop marijuana possession charges once filed against the former Fort Scott Economic Development Director. A lawsuit filed by the former director, Rachel Pruitt, has also been dismissed. That suit alleged discrimination against Pruitt from city commissioners. Tyson Foods is providing financial support to a McDonald County program focused on creating the region's next batch of workers. Tyson today donated $10,000 to the McDonald County JAG program. JAG stands for Jobs for America's Graduates. The program helps students recognize their potential and equips them with the tools to land a job once they graduate.
The most out of the program that I have gotten is the information that I'm given and the resources that I'm also given to help me out with my future after high school, like college-wise.
The JAG program was founded in 1979. It is a nationwide program that serves 76,000 students in more than 1,400 locations in 39 states. Crowder College in Neosho, Missouri is hosting several activities in the early weeks of the school year as part of their Party in the Quad events. Today was the Dance and Barbecue Night event. It featured some good eats, music, and of course, plenty of dancing.
I'm not going to cut a rug tonight. I know we've got students who've been waiting for this particular event because they love to line dance. Some of them were line dancing during karaoke. Our women's basketball team came out in force and they were doing karaoke and line dancing. So we expect this group to have a good time tonight.
And the next Party at the Quad event will be an Arts and Music Night. That's next Tuesday from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. It's now time for us to recognize one of our many four-state heroes. Tonight, we pay tribute to Chuck Sparrott of Columbus, Kansas. Chuck served as a sergeant in the U.S. Army and he fought in Korea. He earned an Army Commendation Medal and many other honors. Thank you, sir, for your service and your courage. We'll be right back with Chris Warner and another look at your weather. And later in the show, we will take a trip to Richmond, Virginia, where one of the largest Confederate monuments in the country came down today. Stay tuned.
We had a pretty beautiful day outside today after we put up with some showers and thunderstorms yesterday. Take a look at the beautiful day on the Indigo Sky Casino and Resort time lapse. That's just outside Seneca, Missouri. Nary a cloud in the sky as the sun goes by. A beautiful day. Beautiful day temperature-wise too, especially when we take a look at what we did see through yesterday. So we made it up to 93. Cold front comes through. Off the chart coolness. and only making it up to about 86 with considerably lower humidity and dew points. Where we sit right now, a lot of us are now 10 to 15 degrees cooler now than we were 24 hours ago, which is feeling quite nice. And take a look at how nice it looks. You can't see, actually take a look, there is a star you can see. Clear skies over Joplin right now. Temperature not looking too bad either. We dropped down to 68, calm breeze. Feels like it's still 68, dew point 52, humidity up a bit at 56%. And that's where we're sitting. A lot of us are in the mid to upper 60s. We got some lower 60s in Pittsburgh at 64. Across the area, about the same. And you can kind of see where that cold front came on through and cooled things down a bit. And you can also see there's a high pressure system over Kansas. And that's what's been giving us the now northeasterly breeze. But as time goes on, the winds are going to shift from the southwest. And that's going to lead to a warm up for tomorrow and into next week. So talking about tomorrow, we're going to start about 59 degrees, 72 by 10, 80 by noon, 84 by 4 o'clock, with most of us heading into the lower to mid 80s. Skywatch Storm Tracker is high and dry. In fact, it's high and dry for most of the U.S. Cold front from yesterday bringing some thunderstorms up to the northeast, some severe thunderstorms up that way as well. Here's what we're watching, though, in our area. We're going to be beautiful through tomorrow, and then the temps and humidity are going to start to rise by Friday, which means it's going to warm up, and it also means we're going to see possibility of some storm chances increasing by early next week. So let's go ahead and take a look into the future. The future track doesn't have a lot to show us other than just how nice it's going to be. 9:30 tomorrow morning, 69 is where we're going to start the day. And as we head on through, we're looking at a high of about 86 and then cooling back down again Friday. But Friday afternoon is when, check out those wind arrows. Now they're shifting from the southwest, and look at what that does to our temperatures as well. They begin to warm up considerably. Friday at 11, 79 degrees for many of us, and that trend is actually going to continue through the weekend. So let's go ahead and take a look at that 7-day forecast. So as promised, we'll be 84 to 86, basically right around the mid-80s. Friday it warms up even more. More by Saturday, more by Sunday. We reach 95. Overnight lows, still not looking too bad. But then as you take a look, Monday 94, and then Tuesday, if the models hold, a high of only 75 because we have another cold front coming through on Tuesday, and that's going to increase our storm chances. It's going to bring us a good chance of some decent rain, but it's also going to cool us off for a few days and dip us back down into the 60s and more fall-like weather once we get to the middle of next week. We just have to get there first.
I'm ready for it. Fingers crossed. Thank you, Chris. All right, when we return, children are accounting for a growing number of new COVID-19 cases here in the U.S. And that surge is resulting in more school closures and delays to in-person learning. That story and a whole lot more are coming up in just 2 minutes. Welcome back to your News at 9. New research suggests that the location of healthy foods in a supermarket can make a difference. UK researchers found that customers make better choices when the fruits and veggies are near the store entrance and when unhealthy foods are removed from the checkout as well as the ends of nearby aisles. Children account for a growing number of new COVID-19 cases in the U.S. The surge is resulting in more school closures and delays to in-person learning. Fox News' Jonathan Seri has more.
Pediatric COVID cases are surging in the U.S. as millions of students return to school. The American Academy of Pediatrics reports nearly 252,000 children tested positive for COVID last week. They accounted for more than a quarter of infections nationwide. Doctors say while severe COVID remains rare among children, they're seeing a concerning number of young people hospitalized.
We are seeing nationwide a higher number of cases of children getting the same respiratory symptoms as adults, requiring them to be on a ventilator for respiratory support.
The surge leading to school closures across the country. The Wall Street Journal reporting more than 1,000 schools across 31 states have closed since late July due to COVID-19. Embry Health in Arizona says it's testing nearly 30,000 students a month for the virus.
Somebody gets pulled out of the classroom for maybe exposure or they're coughing or something else like that, that parent wants to get them tested as quickly as possible.
Meanwhile, public health officials are urging Americans to get their flu shots now to prevent further strain on hospitals overwhelmed by COVID cases. Health experts warn the U.S. may see more flu cases this year as states relax prevention measures such as masks.
Now that masking isn't quite as strong as it was last year, I do anticipate that we will start seeing influenza, but it's really, yet to be seen when it'll actually start.
Tomorrow, President Biden plans to unveil a 6-point plan to combat the Delta variant. In Atlanta, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
When we return, the Treasury Secretary issues a dire warning concerning our country's debt limit.
Pressure is mounting here in the nation's capital for lawmakers to address the possibility of the U.S. defaulting on its debt. I'm Lauren Blanchard. Why the debate over the president's spending plans is now front and center, coming up.
Millions of dollars in COVID relief funds are being set aside for food and farm workers. The USDA says it is offering $700 million in grants to help defray the costs tied to the pandemic. Those funds would be distributed to state governments, tribal entities, and nonprofits to help cover things like PPE, dependent care, and costs tied to quarantine and testing requirements. Airfares are falling this fall. According to the travel site Hopper, prices are expected to drop 10% from September through late November. The average round-trip ticket is projected to cost $260. While that is up from 2020, fall costs are lower than pre-pandemic prices. There is a battle brewing in Congress over President Biden's Build Back Better spending plan. But it's not just along party lines, it's also among Democrats. Fox News' Lauren Blanchard has more from Washington.
October could bring financial disaster for the United States, and that's the warning from the Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. That is, if Congress can't figure out how to raise the debt limit and avoid defaulting, saying it would, quote, cause irreparable damage to the U.S. economy and global financial markets. The problem is neither party can agree on how or whether to raise the debt limit.
The Constitution says that full faith and credit of the United States is not to be in doubt. It shouldn't be.
Speaker Nancy Pelosi says she will not attach it to a massive $3.5 trillion Democratic spending bill because she says Republicans need to also support a debt ceiling hike. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell says his party has no interest.
But what are we seeing around us? Rampant inflation.
Moderate Democratic Senator Joe Manchin is at odds with his party, and his vote is vital in a split Senate. He says a pause is needed because of the price tag, and that a smaller $1.5 trillion bill would be better, even as Democrats in the House prepare to start marking up the bill. President Biden says he believes at the end of the day, Manchin will side with Democrats.
My Build Back Better investments are going to allow us to keep and progress and move further in the years to come.
If the U.S. defaults, interest rates will soar, the dollar will drop, and federal payments such as Medicare and Social Security will stop. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
Right after this short break, yet another monument to the Confederacy is taken down.
One of the largest Confederate monuments in the country coming down today in Virginia's capital. I'm Mike Emanuel in Washington. More on that story coming up.
One of the largest Confederate monuments anywhere in the U.S. came down today in Richmond, Virginia. Once the capital of the Confederacy, the city is now seeking to distance itself from a past that state leaders say shouldn't be glorified or honored. Fox News' Mike Emanuel has the details.
Cheers Wednesday in Virginia as crews take down a monument to Confederate General Robert E. Lee in the state capital of Richmond. The Virginia Supreme Court paving the way for its removal last week after they sided with the state attorney general, who argued that the state could not be forced to maintain a monument that no longer reflected its values.
After 402 years of just history that we should not be proud of, this is a step in the right direction.
Lee's bust in Richmond had towered over the city for more than a century and was one of the largest remaining Confederate statues in the country. Many who live here are not sad to see it go.
I've been here all my life. I'm 60-some years old, and so I've been passing through and seeing this. For it to finally come down, man, it's a moment of joy for me.
Defenders of Confederate monuments say they serve as tributes to the South's heritage and history.
We would have preferred all the monuments to stay just as they were
just as they were.
Opponents see them as symbols of slavery and the Jim Crow era in the South. Similar statues of Lee and Stonewall Jackson were taken down 2 months ago in Charlottesville, the site of a 2017 demonstration over Confederate monuments that turned violent and chaotic, leaving one woman dead. According to the Southern Poverty Law Center, more than 300 symbols of the Confederacy have come down over the past 6 years. Around 2,000 still remain. It's not clear where the monument will ultimately end up. Right now, it will move to a state-owned storage site until a decision is made on its future. In Washington, Mike Emanuel, Fox News.
Don't go anywhere. We've got a lot more news headed your way, as well as another look at your weather with Chris Warner and your KOAM Sports Report with Sports Director Jacob Leonard. That's all coming up right here on your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
The State Department is blaming the Taliban for holding up evacuation flights out of Afghanistan. I'm Trey Yingst in Doha. I've got the details coming up.
New details are emerging about the Biden administration's ongoing efforts to get stranded Americans and allies out of Afghanistan. Fox News' Trey Yingst has more from Doha, Qatar.
The Biden administration is intensifying its diplomatic efforts to get the remaining Americans out of Afghanistan, but time could be running out. The Taliban is consolidating its control, including locking down land and air routes to neighboring countries. There are several U.S. charter flights ready to take off from the northern city of Mazar-e-Sharif, reportedly with American passengers on board. The State Department says it's now working to secure safe landing destinations, but claims the Taliban won't let the planes take off because of issues with documentation.
If the airline allows illegal passengers to board who don't have passports and visas, they are not allowed to travel, and we will not allow them to leave.
The Taliban has now named its new cabinet stacked with wanted terrorists, including some who had been imprisoned at Guantanamo Bay, and several who are currently under U.S. sanctions, which the White House says will not be lifted.
The announced list of names consists exclusively of individuals who are members of the Taliban or their close associates. We're also concerned by the affiliations and track records of some of those individuals.
Meanwhile, the U.S. is launching Operation Allied Rescue to help resettle at-risk Afghans and their families. But it's unclear if Congress will appropriate the $6.4 billion the administration is requesting to pay for it.
While we are done with the documents, everything else, then they're going to take us to the camp. And we don't know where, because that's up to them.
The State Department says about 65,000 Afghan refugees will be coming to the U.S. over the next several months. In Doha, Trey Yingst, Fox News.
A powerful earthquake struck Mexico's Acapulco region late Tuesday. The 7.0 magnitude quake could be felt in Mexico City, around 231 miles away from the epicenter. No serious damage has been reported, according to the capital's mayor, but officials say one person did die during the earthquake. Nearly 6 years after ISIS terrorists killed 130 people in Paris, the trial has begun for the men accused of carrying out France's worst ever terrorist attack. Salah Abdeslam and 19 others are accused in the suicide bombs and gun attacks across the French capital. Nearly 1,800 victims are among the plaintiffs, including survivors and families who lost loved ones. The long-awaited fraud trial of a once high-flying Silicon Valley figure begins today. Elizabeth Holmes is accused of cheating investors and her patients. She claimed her startup company's technology could detect a wide range of medical conditions with just a few drops of blood. She has pleaded not guilty. Fox News' Anna Werner reports.
Federal prosecutor Robert Leach led off opening statements, accusing Elizabeth Holmes of defrauding investors and patients about her blood testing startup, Theranos, calling it a scheme which made her a billionaire.
This is what happens when you work to change things, and first they think you're crazy, then they fight you, and then all of a sudden you change the world.
Holmes' defense team pushed back, claiming their client believed the technology could transform healthcare and that its failure was not a crime. Holmes and her ex-boyfriend and former Theranos president, Sunny Balwani, are accused of lying to investors and the public by claiming the company's small blood testing device, one like this, could accurately perform a wide range of blood tests. And Tuesday, on the eve of opening statements, John Carreyrou, the former Wall Street Journal reporter who first exposed the Theranos scandal, learned the defense may try to call prosecutors, regulatory agency officials, even him, as witnesses. Why would they want you?
What's clear is that one of their lines of defense is going to be that this was a witch hunt,
that the government engaged in a witch hunt against Elizabeth Holmes, and that this journalist, John Carreyrou, formerly of the Wall Street Journal, was in league with the government.
Court papers also show Holmes's attorneys will try to paint Balwani as the mastermind. They allege that he deprived Holmes of her free will by abusing and controlling her, including monitoring her calls, throwing sharp objects at her, and restricting her sleep. Balwani has denied the allegations. But Carreyrou says,
based on all the reporting that I've done, this was a partnership of equals, and if anyone had the last say, it was Elizabeth.
A jury of 7 men and 5 women are seated for the trial, which is expected to last 13 weeks.
We'll be right back with Chris Warner and another look at your weather. Plus,
the male-dominated construction industry is getting a makeover. I'm Marianne Rafferty with more on the efforts to encourage more women to enter the field. Coming up.
Gorgeous weather is what we saw for today after putting up with some warmer weather and even some rain and a few severe thunderstorms across the area yesterday. Nothing like that today, as you can see on the time lapse from Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Nothing but clear blue skies, and that had an impact on temperatures. That cold front, that is. Made it up to 93 yesterday, dipping down to 60 to start today before we reached only 86 with lower humidity and lower dew points, which made it feel much nicer out. In fact, at this hour, 9:39, a lot of us are now in that, 10 to 15 degrees, even upwards of 20 degrees almost, cooler now than we were at this same time yesterday. And I'm sure there's nobody complaining. It's September, and while it's not officially fall yet, it's September. It's practically fall. Right now at 7th and Range Line, it looks pretty good. Temperatures cooling off pretty quickly, too. 68's where we're at now. Calm wind after it was pretty breezy today. Dew point's 52. Humidity is at 56%. Temperatures across the area look a lot like that. We're in the in some cases, the lower 60s to upper 60s for most of us, with a few 70s hanging on in parts of southeast Kansas. Temperatures across the region looking about the same, as you can see, and you can see where that cold front had kind of passed through and has now worked its way east. And I wanted to show you this too, because you see the wind arrows. There's a high pressure system out in Kansas, and that's what's been giving us the northeast winds. But as it progresses eastward, the winds are going to shift, which means our temperatures are also going to shift. So how are they going to shift? Well, we're going to start to see that warm up tomorrow. 59 is how we're going to start the day. 72 by 10, 80 by noon, 84 by 4. A light southwesterly breeze as the day progresses. And as you can see, some of the points to the southwest and even to the west warming up, maybe even into the upper 80s for highs. Skywatch Storm Tracker is high and dry right now, as you can see. And that's actually how it stands for most of the lower 48. They've got some severe thunderstorms they're dealing with from our cold front up in the northeast, but the rest of us looking pretty darn good right now. But there are some changes on the horizon. I mentioned this earlier. Every time I fill in, there's really nothing going on the day, but there's changes always on the horizon. So we're going to be beautiful through tomorrow, a little bit warmer though. And then as we get into the weekend, temperatures and humidity, unfortunately, going to start to rise. And then by middle of next week or so, we could see increasing thunderstorm chances. So future track doesn't show us a lot. You'd usually see clouds, maybe some rain, nothing on the future track as we head through tomorrow, reaching some nice warm temperatures, nothing too bad. And then you can see the wind shift starting to take place. We're starting to get a southwesterly breeze come out of this. By Friday, a nice southerly breeze. By Friday morning, 67 is how we're going to start the day on Friday before we warm into the mid to upper 80s for most of us, maybe even approaching the 90-degree mark, as you can see. And look at southeast Kansas, even warmer. And the faster these arrows are moving, maybe a strong breeze or two in there as well. Heading into the weekend, still kind of the same thing. We're not going to dip off as much as we have been, though. We're going to start Saturday about 73 instead of in the 50s. And that 7-day forecast is showing us where we can expect some changes. Warmer weather heading into the weekend. 94 Saturday, 95 on Sunday. And then 94 again on Monday, and then you see Tuesday. Sometime around then, if the models hold, the cold front wants to push its way in, a lot of extra humidity. We may see a number of thunderstorms across the area. Of course, something we'll keep an eye on. And then we're going to see more fall-like weather for the rest of next week.
I can't wait. Thanks so much, Chris Warner. Coming up in sports, the Kansas City Chiefs are just 4 days away from their season opener. Plus, the Missouri Southern Lions prepare for their first home game in nearly 2 years. Jacob Leonard has that and more next. The Missouri Southern Lions play their home opener this weekend. The Lions host Northeastern State on Saturday afternoon, trying to pick up their first win of the season. Now, the Lions are 0-1 heading into week 2. Last Thursday, Southern fell in their season opener on the road 38-0 to Nebraska Kearney. For the Lions, Saturday's game will be their first home game since November 9th, 2019. So they're excited to play in front of their fans and expecting a fun atmosphere.
Pretty excited. I mean, it's been, for seniors, it's been 2 years. So to actually be able to play on the home field, feel good. You know, been looking forward to it, showing out for the fans.
I think it's going to be a great crowd. I think it's going to be a lot of energy. I think it's going to be a fun time.
Yeah, it's been 2 years. I mean, we've all been practicing, sacrificing time, weight room, off the field, on the field, student athletes. I mean, we've been working a lot to show everybody what we got.
Saturday's game will kick off at 2 p.m. in Joplin. The Kansas City Chiefs are just 4 days away from their season opener. The Chiefs host the Browns on Sunday in their first game on their schedule. Now, this one will actually be the second meeting between these two teams in 2021. Back in January, the Chiefs ended the Browns season, beating Cleveland 22-17 in the divisional round of the AFC playoffs. Now, here's Chiefs head coach Andy Reid on what he sees from Cleveland this time around.
I mean, they got a heck of a football team, and they feel like they've made themselves better this offseason. So, and I can understand why. They've added a few people in the secondary, and they've added Clowney up front, and they've just, the linebacker position is a little different. So, and then offensively, they've got a couple guys back, so they're pretty good football players, and so they're fully loaded, and they're good.
Chiefs head coach Andy Reid has faced Cleveland 8 times as a head coach. He's 8-0 in those games, 4-0 with the Eagles, and 4-0 with Kansas City. Both the Kansas City Royals and St. Louis Cardinals are on the field tonight. The Royals are on the road this evening for Game 3 of their series against the Orioles. Now, the two teams have split the first 2 games. Tonight's game was a wild one. The Royals were up 5-0 until Baltimore scored 9 runs in the 8th. Kansas City falls this evening 9-8. As for the Cards, they're in the middle of a big series against one of the best teams in the league. Game 3 tonight against the Dodgers. The Cards give up 2 in the 9th, but they do hold on to win by a run 5-4. That's it for sports. We're back with more news after this. Welcome back. The term construction can imply growth and expansion, and that's exactly what's happening to the construction industry as a growing number of women are entering the field and helping to promote diversity. Fox News' Marianne Rafferty has the latest.
Many industries continue facing labor shortages brought on by the pandemic, with construction being one of them. But in a field widely regarded as male-dominated, a growing number of organizations are helping empower more women to fill the empty positions.
You're always learning something every day.
And because construction is more than just picking up a hammer and installing wooden beams, the opportunities are endless.
From architecture to engineering to sheet metal to ironworking to millwrights, all the way, just everything. I just give them tools and want to see them go crazy.
Currently, women make up roughly 4% of all skilled construction workers. That number is slowly on the rise, with more than 1 million females now employed in the field, a historic high. Still, experts say breaking down barriers is difficult.
I actually tried to get into the union with my other co-workers that were men, and when I got there, the guy said to me to go home and do dishes.
But advocates say it's time women benefited from the many perks that come with this line of work, one of the most important being job security.
When jobs are higher paid, when jobs have more security, when jobs have more benefits, they often go to men. These are jobs that have all that.
And with lawmakers hoping to soon pass massive infrastructure legislation, experts predict construction companies will need to hire more than 400,000 extra workers by the end of this year to keep up with demand. Marianne Rafferty, Fox News.
We are not done yet with your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. And when we return, you will see how wildlife officials in Florida helped out an alligator who was stuck in a storm drain. That story and more are coming up. Welcome back to your News at 9. Public Works, animal trappers, and the Florida Fish and Wildfire Conservation Commission all came together for a gator rescue in the Miami-Dade area. Fox News' Maricela Burgos has that story.
I go, "Oh, Louis, look, a turtle," and I see the nose move up and down.
It was an unusual sight this far into a storm drain. And when these two men adjusted their eyes, what they had actually spotted was a massive gator on Friday.
At the beginning, we thought it was like 4 or 5 feet. Yeah.
People in the neighborhood off Southwest 102nd Place in West Miami-Dade expressed frustration from trying to get help.
Nobody seems to, do anything, and the animal is dying in there, and it's just not right.
I feel bad, that it's in there suffering right now, and it's so massive that there's no way it can back up.
On Tuesday, the FWC and trappers came out to the neighborhood after I called them. They told 7 News that was the first time they had heard about this gator. And they immediately got to work using food to try to get it to move.
When we attempted to remove the gator, it backed away.
Then a public works crew pushed 1,500 gallons of water through the storm drain.
It went to the positive outflow into the canal, and eventually the gator did swim back into the canal, and we were not able to capture the gator.
And you can see a welder is permanently sealing that lid so no one can open it in case that gator decides to come back.
Any day where nobody's hurt and no animals are hurt, then our mission has been fulfilled. We're the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, and protecting our natural resources is #1, and public safety also.
Now that the professionals came and saw it, they're like, "Oh no, that's more. 9 feet.
No one got a good look at the alligator once it was out of the storm drain and in the canal, but one trapper thought based on its eyes and snout, it may have been close to 11 feet long.
It's good that they got it out, but at the same time, it's still out there.
It's not just gators that are causing problems in the neighborhood. Over in Colorado, the authorities were called in to relocate a bear that was hanging out in somebody's backyard. It happened Tuesday in Highlands Ranch, that is about 18 miles south of Denver. Parks and wildlife officials estimate the bear to be about 12 years old and 150 pounds. A team of animal experts tranquilized the bear, took it out of town, and then released it. Hey, well, thanks so much for joining us this evening. We will leave you with some video of the St. Anne's Kite Festival over in England. And we'll see you tomorrow for more KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. Have a great night. Stay safe out there.